Hi and welcome to a Kirby Maths video on function machines. A function machine is used to describe the mathematical operations that you do to a number, or a reverse function machine when a number has been put through a function machine and we're trying to find out the original number that has been put in. So the form a function machine takes is that we have an input, we have the function which describes what happens, and then we have an output. So that's the number that comes out. This is an example of a function machine. The function, what we're going to do is once we've put a number in, we're going to times it by 2. And after we have times it by 2, we're going to add 5. And then we will get a number put out of the function machine. It's really important that these steps are separate and that they are done in the right order, because you'll get a very, very different answer if you add the 5 first and then times that number by 2. So I'm going to put 5 into this function machine. Working our way along, 5 times 2 is 10. Some of you may find it useful to write the 10 here, just to remind you, and then you don't have to keep it in your head. And then we're going to do 10 add 5, which is 15. So for this function machine, if we have an input of 5, then we will get 15 as the output. You might be asked a question where you are told what the output is, and you have to work out the number that was started with at the beginning of the function machine. So if I had this question, if I'm using the same function machine and the output was equal to 7, and I want to know what was the input, I have to put together what's called a reverse function machine. Sounds really complicated, but actually it's really quite straightforward, and we're just looking at opposite operations. So we have our function machine here where we would put a number in, let's call it x, we would times it by 2, we would add 5, and we would get our output. If we're reversing our function machine, we need to undo these steps. So the number that goes in, we have to do the opposite of add 5, which is take away 5. And then, once we have that answer, the opposite of times by 2, which is divide by 2. And that will give us our answer as to what number we put in. So we're told in the question that the output is 7. So 7 was the number that came out of the machine. So we're going to put it through the reverse function machine to see what the number was that we first put in. 7 take away 5 is 2. And I think when you're using a reverse function machine, it's even more important to put the number that comes out of the first box above the arrow so you don't have to store it in your head. 7 take away 5 is 2. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that means that the number we started off with was 1. You don't have to do a quick check, but in this case, because I'm showing you how to do it, if I put 1 in, 1 times 2 is 2. Add 5 would give me 7, which was the output I was told about. Right, let's do another example of a function machine. So this time I've got a number going in. I'm going to add 3 to it first of all. I am then going to times that answer by 4, and I'm going to have an output. If I use x equals 4 as my input, 4 goes in. I add 3 to it. 4 add 3 is 7. And then I'm going to times it by 4, and 7 times 4 is 28. So if I put my 4 into this function machine, the output would be 28. Using this same function machine, if I had an output of 60, I want to find the input. So I'm going to write this reverse function machine first of all. So I'm going to put 60 in. I'm going to do the opposite of times by 4, which is divided by 4. And then I'm going to do the opposite of add 3, which is take away 3. and that will give me my answer here, the input. So 60 divided by 4. Remember, an easy way of dividing by 4 is to halve it, then halve it again. So 60, half of 60 is 30, and then half of that is 15. So 60 divided by 4 is 15. And again, when you're doing a reverse function machine, it's really useful to write that number that comes out of that box down, so you don't have to have it in your head. 15 then goes into here, and I take away 3. 15 take away 3 is 12. Thanks for watching.